Welcome to today's episode, where we are honored to have Dr. Vasudeva Das, a renowned scholar with an illustrious international reputation. Dr. Das holds a PhD in Applied Management and Decision Sciences with a focus on leadership and organizational change from Walden University, and an M.Ed. Phil in Critical and Creative Thinking from Enugu, Nigeria. Dr. Das has contributed significantly to academic thought with over 35 publications in international peer-reviewed journals. His work often explores cutting-edge topics such as leadership, management, and decision-making processes, and he has authored pivotal studies including a comparative analysis of Carter and Height's change models, strategies for de-escalation of COVID-19 related fraud, and innovative approaches to leadership in faith-based nonprofits. An active member of several prestigious professional associations such as the Academy of Management and the International Leadership. We are privileged to dive deep into his insights of love, peace, unity and diversity, social justice, and the application of synergistic thinking in spiritual and organizational contexts. Dr. Das is also a recipient of the International Award of Excellence from ISKCON Sri Mayapur in India, reflecting his commitment to fostering positive change and community development globally. Join us as we explore the intersections of leadership, social justice, and spiritual wisdom with Dr. Vasudeva Das. Dr. Vasudeva Das, or Bhakti Vaasudeva Swami, welcome to the Bhakti Moons podcast. How would you define ethical leadership and why is it important in today's organizational context?
That's a nice question. Keep in mind that, my PhD is in applied management and decision sciences, specializing in leadership and organizational change. So here you are asking about, my persona. This is my persona. So when I talk about ethical leadership is about being a role model for your team. You going the way and showing the way, walking your talk. That is the fundamental principle there, because in ethical leadership, it's all about moral values. How you're living a moral value-centered type of directing the affairs, coordinating the services of others around you. Now, if you fall short of moral and ethical moral values in your coordination of the affairs, you will lose your integrity. You will lose confidence from your people because they will think, why am I wasting my time with this person? See, the typical case you see, we find in America, the system is not even ethical. It's not based on ethical leadership. But as soon as you are in position, people expect you to be ethical. See, in America, illicit sex, who cares? It's all over the place. But as soon as you become the president or the governor of New York, and I saw this in the case of Cuomo, one of our past governors in New York. Oh, that guy during the COVID, he was like one of the best governors in the whole of America during the COVID. But you know how he lost his job? You remember how he lost his job?
Something with harassment?
Yeah. Although he worked so hard, there was little stuff that was lacking in him, moral values. And it flared up. He worked so hard. He has so much of expertise in managing, directing, organizing, motivating and inspiring people. But as soon as that moral aspect is lacking, oh, you are done. You're finished. So whether you're a politician, you are a spiritual head, or serving in a faith-based non-profit, you're working in you're a political scientist, you're a professor, and all this, a political science professor, who cares? As soon as you've been given a responsibility, or the notion that I used to relate to is that we are thinking, okay, we are bad, we can't follow, we can't control ourselves. You want to lead us? You must be an example for us. And immediately, if you do something, anything unethical, oh, you're fired. Everybody comes after you. You must resign. You must do this. You must do this. Even so, I look at the whole situation like, in most cases, we do not emphasize how to develop ethical leadership or how to be able to create ethical leadership enabling environment. And we just get into this system that we expect the leaders to be ethical, but you know what? the unethicality of the members of the constituency will invoke another leader who is devoid of ethical values. Just like you don't expect a female donkey to give birth to a monkey. It doesn't work like that. But people don't know, they blame their leaders. But if they are introspective, they are sincerely introspective in their own lives, what the leader is passing through is just a reflection of the individuals who are living those type of immoral lives. Because, see, when you are a leader in a community, you observe, according to Prabhupada's ideology, you observe 1/6 of the reactions of the members of your constituency. Tell me, which of these leaders has a great future for themselves? Because in most cases, they don't even know this. So I remember, when I was small, younger, and then I was in college, and so I was doing a course that what do you call psychology of adjustment, and so in that course there were many beautiful female students, mature professionals. And so I remember they came to me and said, "You be a course rep." I said, "No, I will never be a course rep." He said, "Why? We're beautiful women. We're coming to solicit that you be a course rep of this class and you're rejecting it." I said, "You don't know what you're talking about." You don't know what you're talking about. They were so surprised that I turned their offer down. So here's the deal. That, you see, people sometimes run, they're pursuing, they're in the game of power play. They don't know the dangers of sitting on power, being in position. So my point is that the collective sinful engagements of members of the constituency, the leader absorbed 1/6 of their reactions. Tell me how they are going to survive it. Tell me, you see, any leader that survives, he is a really empowered personality. If you go into the history of America, I'm just doing some research on that, presidential sex scandals, and I see so many horrible things. And then we blame these people. We are the cause of their downfall. So being ethical is very good. And everybody else expects their leader to be ethical. If they fail to be ethical, then they are fired. Why don't we be ethical ourselves? So in the Bhagavad Gita 3:21, Lord Krishna says, whatever the great man does, the common man will follow. I'm paraphrasing. Whatever the great man does, the common man will follow. Whatever standard he sets, the whole world will pursue. This is leadership. This is there. So ethical leadership is in the management market over thousands and thousands of years ago. You may play it, you may play it, put it under the carpet, but when you're in position, you better bring that very construct out from the carpet. Otherwise, you will run into problem. Otherwise, you will lose credibility. Otherwise, you may even go to jail. Look at the case of Trump. What's it? Look, they just finished with the hush money case, and they found him guilty. Okay. So the leaders have to be careful. Women say, well, who is being ethical here? Yeah, no company is advocating that the leaders must be ethical. But if you go into the documents of all of these major companies, I remember some companies in Long Island, one of my mentees, she has a PhD in law. So in one company she was working for, a non-profit company, their rules are more or less like an ISKCON rules. It's just that they don't talk about Krishna. Yeah. What you must not do on that premises. It's like ISKCON rules, Yes. So the idea is that we should understand this is a requirement, not just something optional. Because if we look at it from an optional perspective, we may undermine it, we may not take it seriously, but we may ruin our lives. I'll give an example of the 10th management director of International Monetary Fund. He's from France. He's a reputed economist, Strauss-Kahn. In France, they don't really bother so much about ethical leadership. But in America, it's a problem. If you don't if you don't lead by your own example in terms of ethical values, moral values, you're into problem. So Strauss-Kahn came here. He was the director for International Monetary Fund. He came to New York, and he ran into problem. In fact, they put him to jail. They put him to jail. That's how he lost his job. Talking about ethical values. It might not be something you sign for when you're getting the job, but believe it or not, in America, is a big demand in public service. And we can develop that ethical leadership by proper associating with those who have ethical values, because association is contagious. Now, again, if we want to develop any type of leadership skill, we can always associate with people who have those type of skills, those type of values, and they will impact on us in a positive way that we will begin to learn on how to be able to, apply the principles they live by in our own lives. Otherwise, if we don't have such people, we may just think that, this is something that nobody can do this. And also, I don't care. Yeah.
Yes.
So, ethical leadership is mentioned there in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So, how does ethical leadership facilitate positive organizational change? So, you mentioned that most people are not ethical, but they want an ethical leader. How does having an ethical leader change the organization?
Yeah, you see, ethical leaders, they inspire. Those are some of the powerful values of the ethical leader. They inspire their team members or their workers or their organizational members to go the extra mile, to work so hard for organizational achievement. They go beyond their expectations. Why? Because they love their leader. Their leader is someone they can be proud of. They know their leader cannot turn them down. They cannot disappoint them. So, I mean, it's like, they're giving their life for him, for it. So, yeah, ethical leadership helps to promote performance in organizations. It helps to promote high productivity in organizations. It helps in promoting the rebranding of the image of the organization. There's so many things that ethical leaders do. It transforms the organization in a very positive way, because what they see as the values of the person at the head will inspire the followers to see the organization as their property. They have a sense of belonging, and therefore they work so hard to attain higher goals. They even use stretch goals to be able to attain higher achievement, higher performance and productivity, because of the ethical leader. They trust him, they love him. These are some of the things. The ethical leaders are very good for transforming organizations. Yeah.
I can't help but to think a set of organization, family as well. So
yeah.
yes.
Family is 17. Yeah. Family is a microcosm of the organization. So yeah, the same things apply.
So what are some of the core principles that underpin ethical leadership, and how can leaders cultivate these principles in their daily practice? So we may not be ethical leaders, but how do we become?
Yeah. The first principle is to be able to practice what is in the codes of the organization. In other words, the organizational norms, or the grand norms of the organization. I'll give you an example. Say in ISKCON. Okay, if someone's a leader in ISKCON, and they're very parka, they treat people equally, whether man or woman, white, they treat you equally. In other words, treating people in the way they should be treated. The very idea is embedded in Krishna's very own statement. How? Mama evam so jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. If we understand that Krishna is the Father, He is the center of all our activities, we value people, we treat people as Krishna's part and parcels. I tell you, that practice alone is worth imbibing. I'll tell you a story. I was in Canada. One brahmachari was traveling with I was in Montreal.
A little bit.
So he said to me and said,
okay, I hear you now.
What can I do? The brahmachari came to me to ask, what can I do to help these devotees who are traveling with me for distributing, for book distribution and Harina? I said, oh, it's a very simple thing. I said, you treat them the way you will treat your beloved younger brother. And he looked at me right in the face and he said, Maharaj, this is so difficult. I said, what do you mean by so difficult? You sit down on the asana to quote Mama Evam so Jiva Loki Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Is that correct? He said, yes, but to apply it. I said, but we are supposed to go beyond pathology, or we are supposed to go beyond paratology to practice. Paratology means I sit down and then, download all the things I've memorized, and then, all the verses are memorized, and then, talk, and then I talk like a big scholar. But when it comes to application, I'm not forthcoming. That's called paratology. Paras can also repeat what they hear from their masters. So, And therefore, we find our simple methodologies of revamping our organization, revamping our ethical values is the core idea from Krishna's own statement that we are all part and parcel of Krishna. We treat people nicely and they will not harm them. We will set a good example. You're like a parent, a good, because especially these days, the children, they may not tell you, but then they're very observant. I'll tell you a story. I remember a couple of years back, I was in New York for Rath Yatra, and I had a family friend in New York, and so their son was not chanting. And then they said I should help the boy. So then it was 10 years old at the time. So I was trying to help him. So we were close. And so I left the Rath Yatra because I was going to the park to use the restroom. And so this boy said, "Oh, Maharaj, can I follow you?" I said, "Well, come, let's go." So then, as we were going, he asked a question talking about this modern day children. They may not tell you what you're doing is wrong, or they feel what you're doing is wrong, but they're observing. This 10-year-old boy, you know what he asked me? He asked that can someone be chanting Hare Krishna on beats and at the same time watching television? I said, "Oh, that's offensive chanting." He said, "Oh, but my parents do this all the time."
They know the rules.
So, talking about being ethical, we should be exemplary. Try to understand someone is watching you all the time, and live your lives as if Lord Jagannath is right there before you. Otherwise, the tendency is to think, "Oh, nobody is here. Who is watching?" And let's do it. So, like the child, 10 years old, who is observant about what the parents do, Krishna is observing us all the time. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam, really say Ajunati. He's in our heart, as the super soul is there, not just playing football. He's watching us, trying to help us. But we may deny all of the offer for help because we are grossly involved in our materialistic values. So one of those principles is to align with Krishna's statement, how everyone is his part and parcels. And when we treat people and recognize that Krishna is we treat people nicely, and the question of creating any type of minimization is the witness. And therefore, whatever we do, we cannot cheat. Krishna even said, "He of cheaters is the gambler." So there are several strategies that we can use to be able to mold ourselves, situate ourselves in ethical leadership. Why people don't tend to be ethical? Because they forget that Krishna is in the heart, watching everything that we do as a super soul. And so we think, nobody's here, nobody's seeing anything. I'm very smart, But no, who can be smarter than Krishna? He's there watching, and at the appropriate time, he will expose us. If we don't desist from what unethical values or immoral activities we've been involved in, Krishna gives us time. If we don't check ourselves, he will, he will arrange for his agencies to check us. So these are some of the principles that we can really adopt to be able to develop ethical leadership. Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that leaders face, and some solutions that they can, when it comes to leadership?
Yeah, leaders face a lot of problems. And the most difficult job to do is to become a leader or to become a parent. And people don't know this. Because, you see, once you have people don't like you. Even your own friends, they become detested. They become, they rise against you. Yeah, this is the nature of leadership. And therefore, leadership entails a lot of challenges. We have to create an environment that will help people to walk in harmony. As soon as we begin to think, I know it all, you're in trouble. A leader must be a good listener, and especially an ethical leader must be a good listener, because we don't know it all. See, I may have a PhD in applied management and decision sciences, but I'm not a gynecologist. I am not, a psychotherapist. There are so many fields that I lack deficiency in. And therefore, the leader should understand he needs people around him. He needs to tap from the people around him, their talents, and grow with that to be able to facilitate a collective growth. So, a leader must understand that he is not by himself, or she is not by himself, but his success depends on the members of his constituency.
Is servant leadership and ethical leadership, are they kind of the same thing, or is it different?
And ethical leadership and servant leadership, they are similar, but they are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they are founded by different personalities, and their frameworks are also different, and the notions and the applications are also different. Yeah, so there are many leadership models, there are many leadership theories. In the leadership domain, if we find out every time you find some researchers, some scientists, leadership scientists, they came up with some new model, some new theory.
Which is your favorite? Which do you think has the best application?
Well, for me, is the ethical leadership is my favorite, because the ethical leadership creates an avenue where you can be a friend to everybody. Mm-hmm. If you understand their needs and tailor your own activities towards fulfilling their needs, if you adjust yourself to suit the purposes of the members of your constituency, you can be a perfect ethical leader. What happens in general is that people don't want to adjust themselves to suit the purposes of the members of the constituency. They want the members of the constituency to adjust themselves to suit the leader's purpose. That's where you get it wrong. It means the leader is suffering from what we call I don't want to use that term, but sometimes people have this inability to adjust themselves, or inability to adapt to a change. And see, in as much as we live in this change fast, we must experience, and resistance to change is also there. And so we have a 2-year-old child, what they learn to say is to tell you no. Whether you tell them good things or bad things, they tell you no. That's the thing they learn. This is called resistance to change. So people come with that natural tendency to resist change, if even it's for their own good. And therefore, the leader must be aware that adjusting themselves to be able to suit other people's their team's purpose, and being available to address the needs of their teams. These are the things that make someone really appreciated in their team, because then this is a leader that you can rely on. You can see him more or less like your parent or whatever, because they understand your needs and they are working towards fulfilling that objective. So ethical leadership is basically what Krishna mentions there in the Bhagavad Gita. Understand that whatever you do, people are watching you. They will vie to attain that status. Yeah.
I remember I was in Philadelphia once, and we went to a devotee has a restaurant. I believe his name's Haryashva.
Uh-huh.
The first night we went to the fancy restaurant and didn't realize how much things were. We spent almost our whole budget for the vacation there. But we went to the sandwich shop, and I recognized some of the people were devotees, but others I wasn't sure. So I asked him, I said, "Are these all devotees?" He said, "No." I said, "But they all act like devotees. They're all like very clean, very kind, and they have this devotee enthusiasm about them." So I asked, "Well, how is it that you train them to be that way?" And he says, "I just treat them like devotees." So the way he treated his workers that went out to the customers, the customer service, really nice. Are there any other strategies, and how do we develop that? I guess you mentioned a little bit, but how do we take, besides treating people in a certain way, is there any other strategies that we can use as leaders to maximize the output of workers in a positive way, I should say?
One of those other factors that matters in terms of leading people is, like I mentioned, you treat them. I mean, Bhakti Vaasudeva Swami, he mentioned this also in his teachings. He said that consider the person you love most in this world and treat the people around you. Give them the same quality of love that you give to your beloved. And this is lacking in society because we tend to discriminate. We have, this is my friend and that's not my friend. Working under you, they're serving under you, and if you treat them like a family, I tell you, they will go the extra mile to do the needful, to expand their project for you. And if even you're not there, they will just volunteer to be there to do things for you on your behalf. I think this is something that in most cases is lacking, because when the boss goes away, people are playing around, and when immediately someone gives a signal that the boss is coming, everybody turns to be very busy. So this shows the lack of the lack of interest in the job, lack of interest in the service. They're doing that for the purpose of, just for the sake of doing it, just to get the salary, but they're not doing that to be able to help for the sustainable growth of the organization. And so, when we come to the point that if even we are not physically there, the workers are doing their job more than even when we were there, then yes, you are acting as a beloved father to them, acting as a beloved mother to them. Other than that, it becomes like an official stuff. Okay, is he coming? Okay, let's be busy. Has he gone? Oh, let loose.